Chapter 26, page 411. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root and the bud of the bud and the sky of the sky and a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. From I Carry Your Heart With Me, I Carry It In, a poem by E.E. Cummings, banned, listed in the comprehensive compilation of dangerous words and ideas, www.ccdwi.gov.org. When I wake up again, it's because someone is repeating my name. As I struggle into consciousness, I see wisps of blonde hair like a halo, and for a confused moment, I think that maybe I've died. Maybe the scientists were wrong and heaven isn't just for the cured. Then Hannah's features sharpen, and I realize she's leaning over me. Are you awake? She's saying. Can you hear me? I groan, and she sits back a little, exhaling. Thank God, she says. She's keeping her voice to a whisper, and she looks frightened. You were so still, I thought for a minute that they... How do you feel? Shitty, I croak loudly, and Hannah winces and looks over her shoulder. I notice a shadow flitting just outside the bedroom door. Of course, her visit is being monitored. Either that or someone is on 24/7 guard duty. Probably both. My headache is slightly better at least, although now there's a searing pain in both of my shoulders. I'm still pretty groggy, and I try to adjust my position before remembering Carol and Rachel and the nylon cord and realizing that both of my arms are stretched above my head and secured to the headboard like a real honest-to-God prisoner. The anger comes again, waves of it, followed by panic as I remember what Carol said. My procedure has been moved to Sunday morning. I swivel my head to one side. Sunlight is streaming in through the thin plastic blinds which have been drawn down over the windows, lighting up dust motes in the room. What time is it? I struggle to sit up and yelp as the cords bite farther into my wrists. What day is it? Shh. Hannah presses me back against the bed, holding me there as I squirm beneath her. It's Saturday, 3 o'clock. You don't understand. Every word grates against my throat. They're taking me to the labs tomorrow. They moved my procedure. I know. I heard. Hannah is staring at me intently like she's trying to communicate something important. I came as soon as I could. Even the brief struggle has left me exhausted. I sink back against the pillows. My left arm is going totally numb from being elevated all night, and the numbness seeps through me, turning my insides to ice. Hopeless. The whole thing is hopeless. I've lost Alex forever. How did you hear? I ask Hannah. Everyone's talking about it. She gets up, goes to her bag, and rummages around before pulling out a water bottle. Then she comes back and kneels by the bed so we're eye to eye. Drink this, she says. It will make you feel better. She has to hold the bottle to my lips like I'm an infant. Kind of embarrassing, but I'm long past caring. The water kills some of the fire in my throat. She's right. It does make me feel slightly better. Do people know? Are they saying? I lick my lips and shoot a glance over Hannah's shoulder. The shadow is there. As it shifts, I make out the flicker of a candy-striped apron. I drop my voice to a whisper. Are they saying who? Hannah says, overly loud. Don't be stubborn, Lena. They'll find out who infected you sooner or later. You might as well just tell us who it is now. This little speech is for Carol's benefit, obviously. As she speaks, Hannah gives me a little wink and a minute shake of her head. So Alex is safe. Maybe there's hope after all. I mouth to Hannah, Alex. Then I jut my chin at her, hoping she'll understand that I want her to go find him and tell him what happened. Her eyes flicker and the little smile dies from her lips. I can tell she's about to give me bad news. Still enunciating her words loudly and clearly, she says, It's not just stubborn, Lena, it's selfish. If you tell them, maybe they'll realize I had nothing to do with it. I don't like being babysat 24/7. My heart sinks. Of course they've put a tail on Hannah. They must suspect her of being involved in some way, or at least of having information. Maybe it's selfish, but at that moment I can't even feel sorry for her or for the trouble I've caused. I can only feel bitterly disappointed. There's no way for her to get word to Alex without bringing the whole Portland police force down on his head. And if they find out he's been masquerading as a cured and helping the resistance, well, I doubt they'd bother with a trial. They'd skip right to the execution. Hannah must read the despair on my face. I'm sorry, Lena, this time, she says in a whisper. You know I would help if I could. Yeah, well, you can't. As soon as the words are out of my mouth, I regret them. Hannah looks terrible, almost as bad as I feel. Her eyes are puffy and her nose is red like she's recently been crying, and it's obvious she really did rush here as soon as she heard. She's wearing her running shoes, a pleated skirt, and an oversized tank top that she usually sleeps in, as though she got dressed in the first items of clothing she pulled off of her floor. I'm sorry, I say less sharply. You know I didn't mean that. That's okay. She moves off the bed and starts pacing like she always does when she's thinking. For 1 second, one tiny fraction of a second, I almost wish I had never met Alex at all. I wish I could rewind back to the very beginning of the summer when everything was so clear and simple and easy. Or rewind even further to the late fall when Hannah and I did our loops around the governor and studied for calculus exams on the floor of her room, and the days clicked forward toward my procedure like dominoes falling in a line. The governor, where Alex first saw me, where he left a note for me. And then, just like that, I have an idea. I struggle to keep my voice casual. So what happened to Allison Dubney, I say? She didn't want to say goodbye? Hannah whips around to stare at me. Allison Dubney was always our code, our name for Alex whenever we needed to talk about him on the phone or in emails. She draws her eyebrows together. I haven't been able to get in touch with her, she says carefully. The look on her face says, I explained this to you already. I raise my eyebrows at her like, trust me. It would be nice to see her before the procedure tomorrow. I hope Carol is listening and takes this as a sign that I've resigned myself to the change in plans. Things will be different after the cure. Hannah shrugs and spreads her arms. What do you want me to do? I heave a sigh and seemingly switch topics. Do you remember Mr. Rader's class in 5th grade, how we used to pass notes back and forth all day? Yeah, Hannah says wearily. She still looks confused. I can tell she's beginning to worry that the bump on my head has affected my ability to think clearly. I sigh again, exaggeratedly, just like reliving all the good times we had together is making me nostalgic. Do you remember how he caught us and made us sit across the room from each other, so every time we wanted to say something to each other, we would get up and sharpen our pencils and leave a note in that empty flower pot in the back of the class? I force a laugh. One day I must have sharpened my pencil 17 times, and he never caught on, not once. A little light goes on in Hannah's eyes, and she grows very still and super alert, the way that deer do when they are listening for predators right before bolting, even as she laughs and says, Yeah, I remember. Poor Mr. Rader, so clueless. Despite her offhanded tone, Hannah lowers herself onto Grace's bed, leaning forward with her elbows on her knees and staring at me intently. And now I know she knows what I'm really telling her, while I'm rambling about Allison Dubney and Mr. Rader's class. She needs to get a note to Alex. I switch topics again. And do you remember the first time we ever did a long run? Afterwards, my legs were like jelly. And the first time we ever ran from West End to the governor, and I jumped up and slapped his hand like I was giving him a high five? Hannah narrows her eyes at me ever so slightly. We've been abusing him for years, she says carefully, and I know she doesn't quite get it. Not yet. I make sure to keep all tension and excitement out of my voice. You know, someone told me that he used to be carrying something. The governor, I mean. A torch or a scroll or something. Now he just has that little empty space in his fist. That's it. I've said it. Hannah inhales sharply, and I know that she understands, but just to make sure, I say, Will you do me a favor? Will you do that run for me today? One last time? Don't be melodramatic, Lena. The cure works on your brain, not your legs. You'll still be able to run after tomorrow. Hannah answers flippantly, just the way she should, but she's smiling now and nodding at me. Yes, I'll do it, and I'll hide the note there. Hope pulses through me, a warm glow burning off some of the pain. Yeah, but it will be different, I whine. Carol's face flashes momentarily at the door, which is open just a crack. She looks satisfied. It must seem to her like I've come to terms with having the procedure after all. Besides, something could go wrong. It won't go wrong. Hannah stands up and stares at me for a moment. I promise, she says slowly, giving each word weight, that everything will go perfectly. My heart skips a beat. This time, she was giving me a message, and I know that she wasn't talking about the procedure. I should get out of here, she says, moving toward the door, practically skipping now. I realize that if this works, if Hannah does somehow manage to transmit a message to Alex, and if he somehow manages to break me out of my house-turned-prison cell, this really will be the last time I ever see Hannah. Wait, I call out when she's almost at the door. What? She whips around, her eyes are shining. She's excited now, ready to go. For a moment, standing in the fuzzy haze of sunlight still penetrating the blinds, she appears to be glowing, as though lit up by some internal flame. And now I know why they invented words for love, why they had to. It's the only thing that can come close to describing what I feel in that moment, the baffling mixture of pain and pleasure and fear and joy, all running sharply through me at once. What's wrong? Hannah repeats impatiently, jogging it a little in place. I know she's eager to get going and put the plan into action. I love you, I think, but what I say, gasping a little, is, have a good run. Oh, I will, she says, and then, just like that, she's gone.